Hello world, I'm Dragontize. I'm mesmerized with voice and eyes. Today I'm going to be reading you the Mystifying Induction. This one is confusing and rambling and was originally designed to help people who want to go into trance but find that their conscious mind resists, rebels, refuses to give in. This induction is designed to confuse and mystify past that resistance. So, I want to tell you about a rather strange and fascinating experience a fellow Dom had as she went about inducing trance in a person in whom it was rather difficult to intuit what was happening inside him. Accordingly, the Dom resorted to juxtaposing and mixing up various opposite phenomena in order to induce the desired state. All this might not make sense to you right now, but by the time we're done, you may definitely feel in your own way, or sense in your own body, the meaning of what follows. You know how it is when you're glad you do something, looking back on the experience, maybe appreciating it with the perspective of time or distance? Well, we're very glad she recorded her words that day, which I will read word for word to you now. Bob, his name was Bob, I know and you know and many others know that you and I and almost everybody else has a right hand and a left hand, a left foot and a right foot, a right ear and a left, and a conscious mind as well as an unconscious mind. With all these things, we have many experiences, even way back there, when we learned to count 1, 2, 3. Perhaps experiencing a certain feeling or sensation on one side as opposed to the other, or maybe both at the same time. Now, Bob, one time I was working with a man for the first time who insisted on being called by his last name, which was Inskeep, the first time I'd ever heard that last name. I said, Inskeep, right now I would like you to imagine, just imagine without any conscious effort, a tingling in your left hand for just a moment, and then imagine that tingling in your right hand. That's right, Inskeep, don't do it, just imagine it. And now we're going to speed it up just a bit. Quick now, imagine a tingling in your left earlobe and then the same thing in your right earlobe, and then a numbness or a tingling in the left third of your right hand, and a tingling or numbness in the right third of your left hand. Autonomy, independence out there, that's right. I know all this may sound confusing, but just keep on like you're doing. No conscious effort is required at all, and whatever you feel in any of your extremities is just fine. And pay careful attention with your mind. Inskeep was sitting in a chair just like that, Bob, and he told me that as we talked about his hands, he was having a difficult time curling up his toes inside his shoes, interesting as that might sound or feel. We continued then, Inskeep, cold and hot, hot and cold, and the many temperatures in between, 80 degrees, 30 degrees, 75 degrees, 43 degrees, and no one needs a master's degree to feel any of those things. People can develop a light trance or medium trance or a deep trance, whatever their unconscious mind desires, even though sometimes the conscious mind might try to interpose something different. Just imagine, Inskeep, just imagine for a moment, a lightness in most of your right hand and a heaviness down there in the bottom part of your left foot. Right hand, left foot, most of up here and bottom part down there. Very good. And then a heaviness in a third of your left hand and a lightness in your right foot. Not all of your left foot, but in just a meaningful part of it. Lightness, heaviness, up here, down there. Not all of, just a part of, doing fine. Just imagining and knowing that strength means strong mind, that can't possibly not ever resist not drifting off. Inskeep, going inside, a person can pay attention to outside things at the same time, without even trying independently. Imagine a heavy rubber glove on one hand and a soft, warm mitten on the other, either the left or the right, and imagine reaching down and touching a part of your foot that has a numbness or a tingling on the other hand. Imagine a heavy woolen sock on one foot. Imagine a heavy rubber glove on one hand and a soft, warm mitten on the other, either the left of the right, and imagine reaching down and touching a part of your foot that has a numbness or a tingling. On the other hand, imagine a heavy woolen sock on one foot, perhaps the left or the right, and reaching that foot up there to touch one of those hands that has developed a particular warmth or coldness, maybe a tingling warmth or a numbing coldness in either or maybe both. Someone said to me once that extremities have deep meaning, but I know that not knowing, forgetting, or partially realizing in a light or medium way, out there is something that also provides something worth noticing. And whatever happens in your body is just fine. But, Inskeep, I personally have no choice to permit your mind to drift. So just concentrate on your body. Bob had been paying close attention, and by now had experienced many things in his extremities. But he had also noticed how his breathing had changed almost imperceptibly. He told me later that this experience was not unlike something he remembered when he was very young, filling up a plastic bucket on the beach, and the bucket very quickly filled with sand and overflowed, while the hole in the ground filled with water, and the more he dug, both the bucket and the hole overflowed, and all he learned from the experience was that forever after, when he met someone named Doug, he felt almost overloaded, whatever that means. Bob also had a teacher as a teen whose last name was Duggan. Mr. Duggan would catch him daydreaming out there in the back row and say to him, "Drift off on your own time, Bob, not mine." "Inskeep," I continued, "just imagine my voice is out there along with your extremities, and we'll go on, but a bit faster, because now we're nearing the end, and paying close attention now to both outside and inside might take on an even more curious aspect, or your unconscious mind might just have fun inwardly. Just imagine, Inskeep, the following. A person's left third of his right ear can now develop a very distinct feeling, while at the same time the lower part of his left ear can detect the opposite feeling, perhaps alternately, maybe together, always listening, while at the same time he listens inwardly with his third ear, and you know what that is. And while all that is going on with those ears, you can imagine in yourself a left-right, up-down amusement in those hands and feet, while that other person's ears, all three of them, operate independently on their own. Warm hand bottom third, or top half with the other cold, and the opposite foot numb or tingling alternately, left third yes and the rest of it no, or heaviness in one or more parts of the hand that is different from the lightness already present to some degree developing in the other hand, or the opposite foot that can't not be taking on a life all of its own, feeling, independence, autonomy, development. That's right. You're doing just fine. Now listen closely as I count down from 10 to 1, and as those numbers descend, down one at a time, you can imagine yourself sinking a bit deeper and deeper into hopefully no more than a light state of deep trance. Starting to count now. 10, 9, 8. When he was small, he blew up a balloon. Was it a green one or a blue one? I forget. Anyway, after blowing it up, he stuck his finger into the side of it and wiggled it around, and to this day he wonders if his finger was inside or outside that balloon. You can do it. 7, 6. The other night I reached for the light switch and it wasn't there, and you can do it. 5, 4, 3. They were selling colorful blankets alongside the road for only $2 each. And you can do it. 2, and 1. Drop. That's right. All that confusion leaves the mind wondering how to unwind and what to find, and that is this: deep trance. A state that feels so great you can relate it to the experience you were longing for and store it away to remember the next time you want to go deep down into trance now. Maybe you consciously want to obey that urge to sink into trance subconsciously, but your mind was getting in the way, and it's okay. Today you've learned to let that go its way down deeper. So with your mind unwind, I'm going to remind you that drop is what you hear, and can feel this like you feel now, deep down with every drop. You can sink a little deeper each time you hear drop. If you like, just letting it happen, feeling yourself sink as you float and drop. That's right. So all that's left is to enjoy. Enjoy the depth. Enjoy the floaty feelings. Enjoy that feeling of that state you've been longing to experience, and now you do. Just let it be true for you, this bliss, the happiness of knowing that you let it happen because you listened to my voice and let go. Now you know how to drop. All that's left is just to practice and feel it better and better, letting go a little more each time. With that, it's nearly time for this experience to end for now. But you can always come back for another drop. For now, let's bring you back to awareness of the room around you, ready to take care of what you need to take care of. So I'm going to count from 1 to 10, and when I get to 10, you'll be awake again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Wake. Take a moment. Let yourself get back to full alertness. Let the confusion melt back into clarity. Wake. Thank you for listening.